Hey, thanks for coming back, checking out the channel again. I'll make this one quick. Not a whole lot to say on this, but as everybody knows, the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, the Star Wars Hotel at Disney, has been scheduled to close now. They've shut it down. It's going to end the end of September. Um, Go online, you can find 100 videos about that. I'm not going to get into the whole ifs, whens, and whys about it. There's plenty of videos about that if you want to know, where Disney messed up or, what have you. What I do want to talk about real quick is what I think they should have done to begin with and what I think they could still do now to still make it work. The problem is, as everybody knows, it was overpriced. You priced out everybody except for like 1% of the guests that could afford to go to Disney in the first place that would then be able to afford to do this, right? I have a friend who attended it. She paid just over $5,700, I believe, for her trip to it when it first opened. Um, so I think it got a little closer to 6,000 because she paid for like a meal package, like a captain's table thing, and like a photo package or something. But just without that included, I think it was about $5,700. Um, but the problem is, when you do that, it's obviously a very finite number of people and guests that are going to want to do this. Okay, you've got hardcore Star Wars fans; they're going to save up, once in a lifetime kind of thing, and they're going to do it. And they're done. And then you're going to have the super like rich people, the 1% that want to do this either because they're Star Wars fans or because of FOMO. Hey, you want to do it and say you did it and whatever. They're one and done. Maybe you've got that small percentage of like the very rich that also are big Star Wars fans that want to do it more than one time, and that's a percentage of a percentage. So with all that, you're not going to have return business, okay? And all the people that wish they could do it can't afford to do it. So what they should have done, in my opinion, is take a page from the old Star Trek: The Experience attraction that was out at in Las Vegas a few years ago. Now it also shut down, but it lasted for like 10 plus years, and it shut down more because of issues between the licensing with Paramount and CBS and who had the rights to Star Trek based attractions and that sort of thing, rather than it wasn't drawing people. It was definitely drawing guests in, but it just became a management issue and a licensing issue, and that's why they killed it. I never got to attend it. Wish I had, but I just never had a chance to do it. So with that experience, the way it worked is you paid a fee to get in, but it was not 6 grand. You didn't even have to stay at the hotel that it was at. But when you went in, there was a lot of similarities. You had actors that were in character in makeup the whole time. You had Klingons, you had Ferengi, you had all these different kinds of characters that were in character, and the whole concept was that it was like a museum of the future, right? So they had like brought stuff back from the 23rd century, and they're showing it off here. So you'd have like exhibits of like costumes from the movies, and stuff that was actually worn in the films and props from the films, behind glass, like in a museum. And then you'd have a restaurant where it was a sit down restaurant. You'd have kind of themed foods, themed drinks, and you'd have like, alien wait staff or at least alien management that would come over and check on you and that kind of thing. And, see how your meal is going in character. And, guests were encouraged to dress up, and many did. And there was Quark's bar, like from Deep Space Nine, and you had I think they even called it Garrick's Tailor Shop, the clothing store from Deep Space Nine, and where you could go in there and get outfits and souvenir T-shirts or kind of in universe themed stuff, that sort of thing. So it was a lot of the same things you would find on the Star Cruiser. The Star Cruiser's got the restaurant, the Star Cruiser's got a bar, the Star Cruiser's got a clothing shop, right? The Star Trek Experience had 2 motion simulator attractions, much like Star Tours. But one would start you off in the pre-show where you would kind of get beamed up to the Enterprise, and you walk through the bridge of the Enterprise D from Next Generation. You'd see the bridge. They'd actually have cast members, working on the bridge at the station, so it wasn't empty. They were actually doing their job. And then you get escorted through, and then there was like a Klingon attack, and you'd have to get on a shuttle and leave. And that's, a crew member would lead you through a little bit of the Enterprise. You go down to the shuttle bay, and then you get on the ride, and then you're done, right? The other one was a Borg attack, where you're on a space station, and that was almost like a haunted house leading up to the simulator ride, because you start off in the space station, and then you get led down a hallway and stuff, and there's Borg that are people in Borg costumes and props and everything, kind of coming at you like space zombies, and you're being led through by Starfleet security who have phaser rifles and that kind of thing. and they get you through past the Borg, and then you get to a shuttle and you escape and blah blah blah, right? So the Star Cruiser has, some interactive stuff that you could do like that, where you've got a bridge where you can, maneuver the shields and handle the weapons and that kind of thing during a TIE fighter attack. And then there's the interactive stuff they had that was very clever, where you go to the engine room, you have to like do things to, get the warp drive back online and that sort of thing. Or, sorry, the hyperdrive, Star Wars. So a lot of the things are very similar, and they didn't, in Vegas, on the Star Trek thing, they didn't price people out of it. It was like anybody could go to this thing, right? For a nominal fee. So what Disney needs to do with this, and they probably won't, but what they need to do with this is basically the same thing. I know they want to really tie it into Galaxy's Edge, right? They want to make it still part of that experience, and they've got Galaxy's Edge handcuffed to not only the sequel trilogy, but between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. I mean, they've got it locked into that one time slot, and that's it. That's when everything in Galaxy's Edge happens, is between episodes 8 and 9. So what they should do, in my opinion, instead of having the Star Cruiser as a voyage that you take from Earth to Batuu, they just say, okay, hey, story purposes, it's now in geosynchronous orbit over Batuu. It was damaged during, the last fight with the First Order. It's not space worthy anymore. It's like Battlestar Galactica. She broke her back. She'll never jump again. That kind of thing. But she's still able to be up in space, right? And she's still, safe to be in. She just can't jump anymore. So they've got her in geosynchronous orbit, right? And guests can go for a fee from Galaxy's Edge in the panel truck, the box truck that's the shuttle, and it'll take them up to the Star Cruiser. And you can spend a few hours there. There's like a set time that you can be there or whatever, and you can go do all the stuff. And you get a very kind of shrunken down experience of what they stretched out over, a day and a half on the Star Cruiser. Just shrink it down to like a small experience where it takes a couple hours to do the whole thing. You run around, you do the stuff, the meal is separate. You can have a reservation for that, and that's a separate thing. You don't have to even do the participation stuff, right? If you just want to go have dinner at the restaurant, you can make a reservation, go do that. Same thing with the bar, right? But if you want to do the other, you pay a little extra. You have something on your magic band, or you have a wristband or whatever, or a pin or something that says, hey, I'm here to do the whole participation thing. And you go do that, right? And then you play the game for a couple hours, and then, you finish the story and you go back to Batuu and you have the rest of your day, right? Make it a lot cheaper, like $50, whatever, something like that. And you do this thing. And then obviously if you want to tack on the meal, it costs more. You want to tack on the bar, it costs more. You're going to go to the gift shop, you're going to go to the clothing store, you're going to buy stuff. That's money coming in for them. All this kind of stuff, they could still use the same thing. They could do all the same stuff they've got now without it being a hotel. Now, what are they going to do with the hotel space? I don't know. They could keep that and just make it a hotel and just say, hey, you're staying here. Here's your scheduled time to do this thing. I don't see that working. I think what they should do with the hotel, I don't know if they can, because I don't know architecture or whatever, or zoning. But if they could do something where they take out some of the hotel and either make it into a walkthrough experience, like some of the rooms, like that's part of the experience. Now you have to go check these quarters or whatever, check the cabin for something, whatever. Because no one's really living there anymore since it's now just in geosynchronous orbit, right? It's just like a museum, right? Maybe they could do that with the hotel rooms, make them into museums. You go down the hallway and here's relics from the past, and then you've got stuff like props from the sequel, from the prequel trilogy and from the original trilogy. And you can get some of that back in there where people can appreciate what Star Wars stuff came before. Now, I know Disney probably doesn't want to do that, because anytime they do anything that is pre-sequels, they have to stroke a check to George Lucas, and that's just, abhorrent to them. But it's just an idea, and it's something they could do with it, and you can make it accessible to the average guest. Yes, the person that goes to Disney is already kind of in that higher percentile of income and whatever. I get that. So you're already pricing people out just by having it at Disney to begin with, but it is what it is. People know Disney vacations are expensive. But in this case, it's at least something where you're not isolating people from having an experience with a universally known and for the most part universally loved intellectual property. I know Star Wars has kind of had its haters lately because of what Disney's done with it, but Star Wars as a name is still very much recognized and appreciated. And it's, I mean, it's part of the pop culture. It's part of our, the cultural zeitgeist. I mean, it is, everything is Star Wars. We all quote it, and it's part of everything. So, as opposed to something like Club 33, where, it's something that only certain guests can get into, and it's okay because it is already designed for the elites, and that's okay. I mean, yeah, I'd love to get into Club 33 to see it, but then again, I don't really need to. I don't feel like I'm missing out on some part of a story of something that I've been involved with since I was 6 years old, like I am with Star Wars, where if there's some kind of experience like the Starcruiser and I can't do it, I feel like I'm literally missing part of the story. So I think they could trim it back, make it a day experience, a few hours experience, get a lot of people in there, in and out, and you can kind of cycle through the actors, the cast members that are acting. May not have to have as many of them. You don't have to have the captain anymore, that sort of thing, because the ship's not, it's not in flight anymore. It's just parked. It's a building now, right? So you could trim it back to a lot of that. Take this. You have to change the story. It wouldn't be the same story anymore. But you could take a version of that story, right? A little bit of, Rey looking for something, Kylo shows up, blah, 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 if you're going to keep it tied into the sequels, because it's, as I said, in orbit around Batuu. So, anyway, just a brief rant. I'm trying to be a little constructive with it. We all knew that the Starcruiser was probably never going to last. It was just overpriced and out of reach, and, it's another, Bob Chapek boondoggle. So, we knew what was going to happen, but I'd like to see something positive come from it. And I think they should take a page from what they did with the Star Trek stuff and make it more of a museum, stationary experience kind of thing for people. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Let me know down below what you think of this. Do you have any ideas for it? Do you think they should just bulldoze the building, turn it into office space? Should they have never closed it down? Had you gone to it? Let me know what you think if you had gone to it. Anyway, take care. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and thanks for watching. Bye.